Exploring Joliet is produced by students at the University of St. Francis. This show helps to better inform you of our city, people, plans, and activities.
Welcome to another Spotlight interview. I'm Ashley Hare. Today I am here with Father Pete Jankowski, who is here to speak about Hopkins Park, Illinois in Pembroke Township. Thank you for coming into the studio today.
Most welcome.
So first, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I've been a priest for almost 25 years. Pretty much most of my ministry has been invested in Hispanic communities, working in mission territories and working in all the parishes, most of the parishes that have Spanish ministry. And this particular time around, I've been asked to work in Hopkins Park, which is a predominantly black community that needs a lot of help with jobs and with resources, but a community, I've called them poor in spirit but great in God's love. So certainly want to give thanks for the blessings that I have for what this community has offered, but certainly want to find a way to try to help them out with some of their difficulties finding jobs and resources.
So before we dive right in, would you like to explain to our viewers kind of what it's like in Hopkins Park so they have an idea of when you mean poor, like the definition of what poor is in Hopkins?
Sure, because I've worked in some mission territories, I would very much parallel what Hopkins is like concerning other places. There are a few homes in some areas to have resources, to have a concrete floor. Many of the houses do. There's a good number of people who are well off, and then there's a segment of people who really are struggling. City area that doesn't have paved roads, it doesn't have decent plumbing, doesn't have sewage. A lot of resources that were meant to be channeled to this community have not been, and that means that some of the basic necessities that we take for granted, they don't have. It wasn't until last year that I think the city even had the capability of Wi-Fi.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to tell you that when I drive, and nowadays GPS is usually pretty standard, GPS does not work very well in Hopkins, and neither does radio signals and reception. So it's very difficult to drive, and I will tell you as a comment that anytime I walk in Hopkins or drive in Hopkins, my car is in desperate need of a bath because the roads are just such that they're not clean roads in the sense that a lot of them are not paved or not paved properly. So it's a struggling area with good people, but some of those resources need to be upgraded significantly.
So what's a typical day for a resident in Hopkins?
Well, a lot of the folks are seeking jobs, and a lot of them seek basic necessities, looking for food, looking for employment, looking for means by which they can take care of their families. So I will tell you that there are companies that have been in Hopkins that have pulled out. Jobs have then pulled out. So what we have been trying to do is we have been trying to take the companies that do exist in the area and trying to bring them to Hopkins and introduce people to these employers. So the people during the day, a lot of the times, those who cannot find employment are just struggling to get by, struggling to take care of the basic necessities. And so a lot of the work that is being done by the staff in Hopkins is to provide food, provide clothing. There are food pantries, there are resale shops. The diocese is even trying to apply for a grant to bring mission workers out to Hopkins to live in the area, to work on farms, to get people to help them out so that people can be able to take care of themselves. So a lot of the daily grind is just a struggle to get through the day. That being said, you go into these homes and you see a great spirit among the people who have a great faith And I've learned that in a lot of these places that I have served, that I have visited and witnessed, they may not have the amenities that we might have, but because of that, their faith in God gets them through the day. So there's a great deal of prayer, there's a great deal of communal spirit, there's a great deal of support whenever we have an activity. And especially in the Catholic community, it's usually the great majority of the Catholic community who's invested in attending things and being with people that they don't know, because they are one big family and they get through it together. And I think that's one of the great spirits, one of the great blessings that Hopkins Park has to offer.
So people such as Oprah, who's such a highly noted celebrity, has come down to Hopkins. What made her, I guess, turn around and say, doesn't want to help out now, and now you're in a mission, a very, not even per se a celebrity, helping out now this community?
Well, if you're going to say that you're going to be invested in helping a community, you got to stick with it. You just can't come in and say, look at this group of people, and then walk away and not finish what you started.
Yeah.
If you're going to do this, it's kind of like a parent saying, well, okay, I've just given birth to my child, now I'm going to throw the child out in the street and let them flounder around. Essentially, if you're in this, you're in it for the long haul. And whatever ministry or vocation you decide to undertake in life, and if it's the ministry of taking care of a parish community or a city community, whether it be a mayor or a city council or whoever it might be, if you're invested in this, you really have to be invested with all your heart. You know, at least in the world of Scripture, in the book of Deuteronomy, the word heart is used over 40 times. If you have a good heart, if you have a good soul, people in Hopkins will tell me they have a great deal of faith and they have a great deal of love, but they don't have hope. And what I came to find out is it's not hope in God that they're lacking, it's hope in finding resources, because those resources that have been made available have not been given to the people who need them. And so the people have this great faith, but they struggle because the resources that should be given to them have not. And that's why it's important when we talk about Hopkins being a mission, we talk in the diocese about missions happening in, from people from India or Nigeria, Uganda, Latin America, wherever it might be, which are wonderful. We have a mission in our backyard, and we really need to invest in it by telling people that we have something really good here, because if you go to Hopkins and you see the faith of the people, you say to yourself, they may be lacking in some amenities, but what they're not lacking is the presence of God in their life, which is sometimes what we lack when we take God for granted.
Yeah.
This is the kind of community you walk in and say, I feel really blessed, because now I understand that a group of people can show me what it's like to be poor in spirit, because it's not talking about poverty, it's talking about being humble and it's being loving. And if they don't have the resources, they share them with each other. And if you come to one of the masses and you see the people singing together and holding hands and sharing the stories and staying after the services for fellowship. Fellowship is such an important aspect of the faith, to tell people that it's not about me, it's about serving everybody. And that's something that Hopkins really excels in doing.
So when you go to Hopkins with your mission in the diocese and these people have no hope, what are you telling them to get them motivated, and what kind of resources are you bringing to their community to have them have this sense of hope that we're going to get basic necessities, we're going to have water, we're going to have Wi-Fi? What gives them that hope from you?
Well, what we need to do is we need to be established in there to say we really do care. That's the important part. If people know, and I've learned this in the other parishes I've served, especially the parishes that don't have the resources, if you show people that you want to be invested and you're willing to do your part to make this work, that's what the word covenant means. God does God's part in the covenant. We need to do our part. So if I'm supposed to be representing God in this community, I'm supposed to be doing my part, letting God work through me to show them that God does care. And I find that if you do that, then on the other side, people see that you're invested, and all of a sudden they become invested. And then all of a sudden, people start caring and start realizing that this is a really good group of people, and now we want to start doing something about it. So getting into Hopkins, getting mission groups to come into Hopkins, getting people to support Hopkins, all of that is good. It's the old Confucius line. Give a person a fish, they eat for a day. Teach a person to fish, they eat for a lifetime. Get the roads, get the utilities, get the jobs, get people invested in taking care of their families and provide the means by which they can do it and truly get them in there. So one of the things that we're talking about doing is on October 20th of this year, we're going to have an outdoor mass. We haven't done one of those outdoor masses in a while. Do an outdoor mass, bless the pets after the mass, have a picnic, and then do a job fair. Out in Hopkins, we have a couple of companies that work out there. One owns 19,000 acres of land. One is a feeder for Johnsonville brats. What we do is we get those companies to come out and show people that there are jobs available. And there are jobs available. Not always easy jobs, not always the kind of jobs that are going to be high profile, but they put food on the table. They provide benefits to the families. They tell people that we have a way to take care of those who are in need. And if we can connect the businesses to the people who live there, then we are on the starting point of trying to upgrade the manner of living, the cost of living, the way of living in a community that desperately needs it.
So at the job fair, kind of want to explain how that's going to work and what companies are going to be attending the job fair? The
two main companies which I am invested in are, one of them is called Van Drunen Farms. Van Drunen Farms is a company that has about 19,000 acres in Illinois. They have extensions in Serbia, Russia, China, Mexico, California, Illinois. And what they do is they are a freeze-dried company. They grow the foods, they freeze-dry them, and they send them throughout the world. They have approximately 1,000 employees in the area, and they're always looking for more people to work. Moment's Packing is a feeder for, I said, Johnsonville. So they process the meats right there in the Moment's Hopkins, Pembroke area, and then they send them out. They have about 500 employees, and I know they have jobs because they've told me they've had jobs. And so what we need to do is we need to get the employer to be in contact with those who are wanting to be employees, get them connected, and try to make something that's mutually beneficial to both groups.
When I recently went to Hopkins, I saw a lot of the residents had no cars. So are these companies going to help provide a sense of transportation and a way for these residents to get from Hopkins to Moment, since it was about a 15-minute, 20-minute commute? So I'm sure on a walk it'd be pretty far.
But there are ways to transporting people via bus, via carpool. We have over in Hopkins, we have a bus that takes people to and from church. So we have the resource to do that, but first we have to connect the two groups together. Once we connect them together, then we find a way to get them to work. And those are the details that need to be ironed out. So yes, there are resources, and once again, if we can get the diocese to do mission work in Hopkins, which they are in the process of doing, seeking out a grant to do just that, we can get people who are doing mission work to live in the Hopkins area, and that would help provide those services or make those services available for those who are in need.
So once, per se, the job fair happens, this grant gets approved, what do you think the future of Hopkins Park is?
Well, if this were an ideal situation, if we can get folks from the diocesan mission to live in Hopkins, which is their goal, and we have the resources to provide for that. If we can get them to live in Hopkins, then what they can do is they can be the advocates. Right now in Hopkins, Sister Mary Beth Clements and Father Ray Lesher are living in the community and working with the community and providing that spiritual guidance and helping me provide the spiritual guidance to offer these people the services that are necessary. Father Tony Toscata has worked with Hopkins in so many different capacities, and he has been the rock star in the area, going out and getting resources and getting funds. We have various parishes, St. Jude's in New Lenox is the one that comes to mind, St. Anthony's in Frankfurt, who have provided the basic amenities to take care of today, or provided trucks, or provided campers, or whatever it might be to help people out. So what we really need to do is we need to get our folks into the community to be established there so that they get trusted, so that people realize we really are there not just as a showpiece, not to pop in, say, here's Hopkins, and then walk away. We need to get in there, we need to establish ourselves, we need to say we're serious about this, and then stay with the people that live in the area for the long haul. If they see that and see we're serious about that, then the next thing you know, it begins to grow. It's my old attitude that if you start planting the seeds in the garden, they may not grow today, But in the future, you end up having a garden. It's kind of like we say the word rosarium, rosary, means garden of prayers. You got to keep planting the seeds, and you got to keep nurturing the seeds. And if you do that, the plant will grow. Maybe not today, but for the next generation or the generation after that. What we don't want to happen is to have the people who are living in Hopkins right now leave Hopkins because they don't have the resources or nobody's helping them. We want them to stay. We want them to say that we care. Otherwise, what are we doing as a church? Why do we even read the 25th chapter of Matthew's Gospel? When I'm hungry, you give me food. Thirsty, you give me drink, etc. And then we say, when have we seen this? And then we say, when you do it to the least of my brothers, you do it for me. It's the old Fatima prayer, helping people most in need of God's mercy. If we're going to say it, then we got to live it. It's a deacon line. Believe what you read, teach what you believe, practice what you teach.
Practice what you preach, yep.
That's what I say to the university students here, and that's what we need to be saying out in the parish communities. Help those most in need. Hopkins is in need, both in the short run, but more importantly, in the long term. We need to talk to the city council. We need to talk to the legislators. We need to talk to people who are not invested in the community to get invested in the community seriously from the heart, just like we would say in Deuteronomy.
So people that are obviously watching this, what would you tell them if they want to get involved, or how they can possibly donate resources, their time or their money?
So hopefully with videos like this, people will become aware.
Yeah.
Most likely people are not aware because we're all invested with our own things in life. Become aware of what's going on in our backyard. First of all, say prayers. First of all, make sure we're offering people who are suffering in intentions. Realize that there's a great faith. Maybe come visit. On the 28th, 29th of September, they're going to have a revival over at the Bible camp in Pembroke, and then they're going to have a Mass with Father Tony on the 29th. The job fair on October 20th in Momence at the 12 o'clock Mass. Go visit Hopkins. Learn about Hopkins. There are books about Hopkins. Read up about it, about Pembroke Township. And then ask yourself the question, what can I do? What can we do as individuals? What can we do as parishes? Are we aware of what's going on? And then how can we help? Short term, certainly the finances. There's less than $3,000 in the bank in Sacred Heart Church in Hopkins as of right now. We need to make sure that we renovate the church, renovate the rectory. We're not talking about big things. They're very small facilities, but we need to renovate them. The basement of the rectory is filled with mold. We've had mission groups that have come out and helped rebuild. We had a group led by Ken and Michelle Berry in Kankakee, youth group, came and built a pavilion for the neighboring Baptist church. The Baptist church allowed them places to sleep while they were building the pavilion. They have been great resources. Get youth groups out there. Get parish communities out there. Get people out there to understand there's a great spirituality there. Come on a weekend, do some kind of project, and then come celebrate Mass at 12 noon with the people at Hopkins and see what the group is like. And once you see the group, then you're saying, that's the kind of spirit I need to have in my own faith life, and then you become more invested.
So I'm sure some people are also going to say, why isn't the diocese helping, per se, the poor right here in Joliet, even though Hopkins is, per se, a 45-minute drive from here? Is the diocese, what are they trying to do here locally?
Well, considering the diocese has, 120-some parishes, there is enough to go around for the diocese to be concerned. That's why the bishop sends out priests to these various parishes to be his advocate, to represent him in these communities, to make people aware of what's going on. In the city of Joliet, certainly we have those pockets, those areas that need help. And we advertise those things, and we make sure that people are aware of them. So in that particular case, those pastors are doing what God is asking them to do through the bishop and through their own faith life. And so my responsibility at this point is to take care of this particular community. And because this community, the diocese, is very much invested in Hopkins, they don't want it to close, even though there's a lot of poverty and a lot of struggles that are going on there. The diocese has made it a point to keep that place open. So if they want to keep it open, which I think they should, what are we going to do to sustain it? And that requires a great deal of effort by a lot of people. My suggestion to people is, first of all, support your parishes. Support your local parishes. Take care of the people in your community. do the mission work of the diocese, whether it be a local mission, whether it be a mission throughout the world. The diocese, through the Extension Society, is very invested in that as well. Make sure that we bring in the priests from other parts of the world to talk about their situation, but make sure we also take care of the people in our own diocese who have the same kind of struggles. I think it's important to do it for all the parishes, so that we're not just saying we're going to do it for one group, but we do it across the board for all the groups. That's why we have priests rotating different parishes throughout the world, telling their story. The more we learn about the stories around the world, the more we become enlightened on what we need to do in order to help all people, including Hopkins.
So would you mind telling our viewers, if they would like to get involved, your contact information so they can reach out?
Well, easily enough, because I have my phone number. 815-685-1359 is my cell phone. And I'm going to tell you, I get lousy cell phone reception where I'm at, because everybody gets lousy cell phone reception where I'm at.
Yeah.
But the point is, contact the phone number, or contact St. Patrick's Church in Mements, which is the feeder parish, which is the parish under which Sacred Heart is a mission. Call St. Patrick's Church in Mements. You can look that up online. Contact them and say, how can I help? Maybe get a group to come down to Hopkins on a weekend to see what you can do to help. Come to our job fair on October 20th. Come to the revival on September 28th, if this is aired prior to that, or even if not. Learn what the revival was all about. The parish is celebrating their 80th anniversary. This parish has been there for 80 years.
Wow.
The diocese has not given up on Hopkins. We can't give up on Hopkins, so that's why these kind of videos are important, for people to know how serious we are in promoting this particular cause in the diocese.
Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for telling us about Hopkins. It's a very motivational story, and I really hope that our viewers will be determined and will want to help the community.
My honor and privilege. God bless you all.
This has been another Spotlight interview. I'm Ashley Hare.
What will you take for college? Mom says teacher. Dad says accountant. Grandma thinks you do great as a nurse. What do you want to do? Why not a degree in communication and media arts from the University of St. Francis in Joliet? Writing, video, audio, graphic design, social media? You'll get the creative skills to help anybody tell their story and write your own success story in the process. Visit cmma.stfrancis.edu for more info.